The former French colony of Ubangi Shari became the Central African Republic upon independence in 1960. After 3 tumultuous decades of misrule, mostly by military governments, civilian rule was established in 1993 but lasted only a decade. In March 2003, President Ange Felix Patas was deposed in a military coup led by General François Bozizé, who established a transitional government. Elections held in 2005 affirmed General Bozizé as president. He was re-elected in 2011 in voting widely viewed as flawed. The government still lacks full control of the countryside, where lawlessness persists. Several rebel groups joined together in early December 2012 to launch a series of attacks that left them in control of numerous towns in the northern and central parts of the country. The rebels, unhappy with Bozizé's government, participated in peace talks in early January 2013 which resulted in a coalition government including the rebellion's leadership. In March 2013, the coalition government dissolved, rebels seized the capital, and President Bozizé fled the country. Rebel leader Michel Djotodio assumed the presidency and the following month established a National Transitional Council, CNT. In January 2014, the CNT elected Catherine Samba Panza as interim president. Elections completed in March 2016 installed independent candidate Faustin Archange Touadéra as president. He continues to work towards peace between the government and armed groups, and is developing a disarmament, demobilization, reintegration, and repatriation program to reintegrate the armed groups into society.
Geography.
Central African Republic.
Location: Central Africa, north of Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Geographic coordinates: 700N, 2100E.
Map references: Africa.
Area total:
622,984 square kilometers.
Land:
622,984 square kilometers.
Water:
0 square kilometers.
Country comparison to the world:
46.
Area comparative: slightly smaller than Texas.
Land boundaries: total
5,920 kilometers.
Border countries: 6.
Cameroon 901 kilometers, Chad 1,556 kilometers, Democratic Republic of the Congo 1,747 kilometers, Republic of the Congo 487 kilometers, South Sudan 1,055 kilometers, Sudan 174 kilometers.
Coastline: 0 kilometers. Landlocked.
Maritime claims: none, landlocked.
Climate: tropical, hot, dry winters, mild to hot, wet summers.
Terrain: vast, flat to rolling plateau, scattered hills in northeast and southwest.
Elevation: mean elevation
635 meters.
Lowest point:
Ubangi River 335 meters.
Highest point:
Montanangui 1,410 meters.
Natural resources: diamonds, uranium, timber, gold, oil, hydropower.
Land use: agricultural land
8.1%.
Arable land
2.9%. Permanent crops
0.1%. Permanent pasture
5.1%.
Forest
36.2%.
Other
55.7%.
Irrigated land 10 square kilometers.
Population distribution: majority of residents live in the western and central areas of the country, especially in and around the capital of Bangui.
Natural hazards: hot, dry, dusty Harmattan winds affect northern areas. Floods are common.
Environment: current issues: water pollution. Tap water is not potable. Poaching and mismanagement have diminished the country's reputation as one of the last great wildlife refuges. Desertification, deforestation, soil erosion.
Environment: international agreements. Party 2.
Biodiversity, climate change Kyoto Protocol. Desertification, endangered species, hazardous wastes, ozone layer protection, tropical timber 94, wetlands.
Signed, but not ratified.
Law of the sea.
Geography: note, landlocked, almost the precise center of Africa.
People and society.
Central African Republic.
Population: 5,745,062.
Note:
estimates for this country explicitly take into account the effects of excess mortality due to AIDS. This can result in lower life expectancy, higher infant mortality, higher death rates, lower population growth rates, and changes in the distribution of population by age and sex than would otherwise be expected.
Country comparison to the world.
116.
Nationality, noun.
Central African. S.
Adjective.
Central African.
Ethnic groups. Baya 33%, Banda 27%, Manchia 13%, Sara 10%, Mboom 7%, Mbeka 4%, Yekoma 4%, other 2%.
Languages. French. Official. Sangho. Lingua franca and national language. Tribal languages.
Religions. Indigenous beliefs 35%, Protestant 25%, Roman Catholic 25%, Muslim 15%.
Note.
Animistic beliefs and practices strongly influence the Christian majority.
Demographic profile. The Central African Republics. CAR. Humanitarian crisis has worsened since a coup in March 2013. CAR's high mortality rate and low life expectancy are attributed to elevated rates of preventable and treatable diseases, including malaria and malnutrition, an inadequate healthcare system, precarious food security, and armed conflict. Some of the worst mortality rates are in Western CAR's diamond mining region, which is impoverished because of government attempts to control the diamond trade and the fall in industrial diamond prices. To make matters worse, the government and international donors have reduced health funding in recent years. The CAR's weak educational system and low literacy rate have also suffered as a result of the country's ongoing conflict. Schools are closed, qualified teachers are scarce, infrastructure, funding, and supplies are lacking and subject to looting, and many students and teachers are displaced by violence.
Rampant poverty, human rights violations, unemployment, poor infrastructure, and a lack of security and stability have led to forced displacement internally and externally. Since the political crisis that resulted in CAR's March 2013 coup began in December 2012, approximately 370,000 people have fled to Chad, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, and other neighboring countries, while more than an estimated 600,000 are displaced internally as of October 2017. The UN has urged countries to refrain from repatriating CAR refugees amid the heightened lawlessness.
Age structure 0 to 14 years.
39.89%, male 1,151,724, female 1,140,083.
15 to 24 years.
19.91%, male 574,969. Female 568,942.
25 to 54 years.
32.64%, male 938,365, female 936,948.
55 to 64 years.
4.17%, male 112,310, female 127,045.
65 years and over.
3.39%, male 75,401, female 119,275.
Population pyramid.
Population pyramid.
Dependency ratios. Total dependency ratio.
90.
Youth dependency ratio.
83.1.
Elderly dependency ratio.
7.
Potential support ratio.
14.4.
Median age. Total.
19.8 years.
Male.
19.5 years.
Female.
20.1 years.
Country comparison to the world.
197.
Population growth rate. 2.11%.
Country comparison to the world.
43.
Birth rate. 34 births out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
24.
Death rate. 12.9 deaths out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
11.
Net migration rate. 0 migrants out of 1,000 population.
Country comparison to the world.
78.
Population distribution. Majority of residents live in the western and central areas of the country, especially in and around the capital of Bangui.
Urbanization. Urban population.
41.4% of total population.
Rate of urbanization.
2.52% annual rate of change.
Major urban areas. Population. 851,000 Bangui. Capital.
Sex ratio at birth.
1.02 male every 1 female.
0 to 14 years.
1.01 male every 1 female.
15 to 24 years.
1.01 male every 1 female.
25 to 54 years.
1 male every 1 female.
55 to 64 years,
0.84 male every 1 female,
65 years and over.
0.64 male every 1 female,
Total population.
0.98 male every 1 female,
Maternal mortality rate. 882 deaths/100,000 live births.
country comparison to the world.
2.
Infant mortality rate, total,
84.3 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
male,
91.6 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
female,
76.7 deaths out of 1,000 live births.
country comparison to the world.
4.
Life expectancy at birth, total population,
53.3 years.
male,
51.9 years.
female,
54.7 years.
country comparison to the world.
219.
Total fertility rate, 4.25 children born, woman,
Country comparison to the world.
29.
Contraceptive prevalence rate. 15.2%. 2010 to 11.
Health expenditures, 4.2% of GDP,
Country comparison to the world.
162.
Physicians density. 0.05 physicians out of 1,000 population.
Hospital bed density, 1 beds out of 1,000 population.
Drinking water source. Improved.
Urban,
89.6% of population.
rural,
54.4% of population.
total,
68.5% of population.
unimproved,
Urban.
10.4% of population.
Rural.
45.6% of population.
Total.
31.5% of population.
Sanitation facility access. Improved.
Urban,
43.6% of population.
rural,
7.2% of population.
total,
21.8% of population.
unimproved,
Urban.
56.4% of population.
Rural.
92.8% of population.
Total.
78.2% of population.
HIV/AIDS adult prevalence rate. 4%.
Country comparison to the world.
15.
HIV/AIDS, people living with HIV/AIDS, 110,000.
Country comparison to the world.
41.
HIV/AIDS deaths. 5,200.
Country comparison to the world.
26.
Major infectious diseases, degree of risk.
Very high.
Food or waterborne diseases,
Bacterial and protozoal diarrhea, hepatitis 1E, and typhoid fever.
vector-borne diseases,
Malaria and dengue fever.
water contact diseases,
Schistosomiasis.
animal contact diseases,
Rabies.
respiratory diseases,
Meningococcal meningitis.
obesity, adult prevalence rate, 7.5%,
Country comparison to the world.
159.
Children under the age of 5 years underweight. 23.5%.
Country comparison to the world.
21.
Education expenditures, 1.2% of GDP,
Country comparison to the world.
177.
Literacy. Definition.
Age 15 and over can read and write,
Total population.
36.8%,
Male.
50.7%,
Female.
24.4%,
School life expectancy. Primary to tertiary education. Total.
7 years,
Male.
8 years,
Female.
6 years.
Government.
Central African Republic,
Country name. Conventional long form.
Central African Republic,
Conventional short form.
none.
Local long form.
Republic Centrafrican,
Local short form.
none.
Former.
Ubangi Shari, Central African Empire,
Abbreviation.
Ka.
Etymology.
Self-descriptive name specifying the country's location on the continent. Africa is derived from the Roman designation of the area corresponding to present-day Tunisia Africa Terra, which meant land of the Afri, the tribe resident in that area, but which eventually came to mean the entire continent.
Government type. Presidential republic.
Capital, name,
Bangui.
geographic coordinates,
422N. 1835E.
time difference,
UTC +1. 6 hours ahead of Washington, D.C., during standard time.
administrative divisions, 14 prefectures, singular, prefecture, 2 economic prefectures économiques, singular, préfecture économique, and 1 commune, Bamingui Bangoran, Bangui, Baskoto, Outkoto, Hortmbomu, Kemo, Lobe, Momberkadai, Mbomu, Nanagribizi, Nanamomber, Ombelamboko, Waka, Uhambend, Sangamba, Vakaga.
Independence. The 13th of August 1960, from France.
National holiday, Republic Day, 1 December, 1958.
Constitution history.
Several previous, latest, interim constitution, approved by the Transitional Council the 30th of August 2015, adopted by referendum 13 the 14th of December 2015, ratified the 27th of March 2016.
Amendments.
Proposals require support of the government, 2/3 of the National Council of Transition, and assent by the mediator of the Central African Crisis. Passage requires at least 3/4 majority vote by the National Council membership. Non-amendable constitutional provisions include those on the secular and republican form of government, fundamental rights and freedoms, amendment procedures, or changes to the authorities of various high-level executive, parliamentary, and judicial officials.
Legal system. Civil law system based on the French model.
International Law Organization participation has not submitted an ICJ jurisdiction declaration, except SIC jurisdiction.
Citizenship. Citizenship by birth.
No.
Citizenship by descent only.
Least one parent must be a citizen of the Central African Republic.
Dual citizenship recognized.
Yes.
Residency requirement for naturalization.
35 years.
Suffrage. 18 years of age. Universal.
Executive branch, Chief of State.
President Faustin Archange Touadera, since the 30th of March 2016.
Head of Government.
Prime Minister Simplice Sarangi, since the 2nd of April 2016.
Cabinet.
Council of Ministers appointed by the President.
Elections. Appointments.
Under the 2015 Constitution, the President is elected by universal direct suffrage for a period of 5 years, eligible for a second term. Election last held the 30th of December 2015 with a runoff the 20th of February 2016, next to be held in 2020.
Election results.
Faustin Archange Touadera elected president in the second round, percent of vote in first round, and Aissat Georges Delegarre, Urca, 23.7%, Faustin Archange Touadera, independent, 19.1%, Desire Kolingba, MK, 12%, Martin Ziguerra, MLK, 11.4%, other 33.8%, of vote in second round. Faustin Archange Touadera 62.7%, and Aissat Georges Delegarre 37.3%.
Note.
Rebel forces seized the capital in March 2013, forcing former President Bozizé to flee the country. Interim President Michel Djotodio assumed the presidency, reinstated the Prime Minister, and established a National Transitional Council, CNT, in April 2013. The NTC elected Catherine Samba-Panza interim president in January 2014 to serve until February 2015, when new elections were to be held. Her term was extended because instability delayed new elections and the transition did not take place until the end of March 2016.
Legislative branch. Description.
Unicameral National Assembly or Assembly Nationale, 140 seats. Members directly elected in single-seat constituencies by absolute majority vote with a second round if needed. Members serve 5-year terms.
Elections.
Last held the 30th of December 2015. Results annulled the 14th of February 2016. First round and the 31st of March 2016. Second round, next to be held in 2021.
Election results.
Percent of vote by party, NAR. Seats by party, UNP 16, ERC 11, MK 8, 10, NC 7, other 28, Independent 60. Composition: men 129, women 11%, of women 7.9%.
Judicial branch. Highest courts.
Supreme Court or Cour Supreme consists of 9 judges. Constitutional Court consists of 9 judges, at least 3 of whom are women.
Judge selection and term of office.
Supreme Court judges appointed by the President. Constitutional Court judge appointments -2 by the President, 1 by the Speaker of the National Assembly, 2 elected by their peers, 2 are advocates elected by their peers, and 2 are law professors elected by their peers. Judges serve 7-year non-renewable terms.
Subordinate courts.
High courts, magistrates' courts.
Political parties and leaders. Action Party for Development or PAD, El Haj Laurent Baba.
Alliance for Democracy and Progress or ADP, Clement Bilibanga.
Central African Democratic Rally or RDC, Desayan Zanga Klingba.
Movement for Democracy and Development or MDD, Louis Papineau.
Movement for the Liberation of the Central African People or MLPC, Martin Ziguel.
National Convergence, also known as Quinaqua, or KNK, François Bozizé.
National Union for Democracy and Progress or UNDP, Amin Michel.
New Alliance for Progress or NAP, Jean-Jacques Demafouth.
Social Democratic Party or PSD, Enoch Lake.
Union for Central African Renewal or URCA, Aniset Georges Dalaguerre.
International Organization Participation, ACP, FDB, O, DEC, CEMAC, ITI, Compliant Country, Suspended, FAO, FZ, G77, ERIA, IBRD, ICAO, ICT, ICRM, IDA, IFAT, IFC, IFX, ILO, IMF, Interpol, IOC, IAM, ITSO, ITU, ITUC, NGOs, MEGA, NAM, OIC, Observer, OIF, OPCW, UN, UNCTAD, UNESCO, UNIDO, UNTO, UPU, WCO, WHO, WIPO, WMO, WTO.
Diplomatic representation in the U.S. Chief of Mission.
Ambassador Marshall Ndubu, since the 17th of September 2018.
Chancery.
2704 Ontario Road Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20009.
Telephone.
120248378800.
Fax.
120233298893.
Diplomatic representation from the U.S. Chief of Mission.
Ambassador, vacant, charged David P. Brownstein, since September 2017.
Embassy.
Avenue David Dacko, Bangui.
Mailing address.
P.O. Box 924, Bangui.
Telephone.
236 2161 0200.
Fax.
236 2161 4494.
Flag description. 4 equal horizontal bands of blue, top, white, green, and yellow with a vertical red band in center. A yellow 5-pointed star to the hoist side of the blue band. Banner combines the Pan-African and French flag colors. Red symbolizes the blood spilled in the struggle for independence. Blue represents the sky and freedom. White peace and dignity. Green hope and faith. And yellow tolerance. The star represents aspiration towards a vibrant future.
National symbols. Elephant. National colors.
Blue, white, green, yellow, red.
National anthem. Name.
La Renaissance. The Renaissance.
Lyrics. Music.
Barthélemy Boganda / Herbert Pepper.
Note.
Adopted 1960. Barthélemy Boganda wrote the anthem's lyrics and was the first Prime Minister of the autonomous French territory.
Economy.
Central African Republic.
Economy. Overview. Subsistence agriculture, together with forestry and mining, remains the backbone of the economy of the Central African Republic, CAR, with about 60% of the population living in outlying areas. The agricultural sector generates more than half of estimated GDP, although statistics are unreliable in the conflict-prone country. Timber and diamonds account for most export earnings, followed by cotton. Important constraints to economic development include the CAR's landlocked geography, poor transportation system, largely unskilled workforce, and legacy of misdirected macroeconomic policies. Factional fighting between the government and its opponents remains a drag on economic revitalization. Distribution of income is highly unequal and grants from the international community can only partially meet humanitarian needs. CAR shares a common currency with the Central African Monetary Union. The currency is pegged to the euro.
Since 2009, the IMF has worked closely with the government to institute reforms that have resulted in some improvement in budget transparency, but other problems remain. The government's additional spending in the run-up to the 2011 election worsened CAR's fiscal situation. In 2012, the World Bank approved $125 million in funding for transport infrastructure and regional trade, focused on the route between CAR's capital and the port of Douala in Cameroon. In July 2016, the IMF approved a 3-year extended credit facility valued at $116 million. In mid-2017, the IMF completed a review of CAR's fiscal performance and broadly approved of the government's management, although issues with revenue collection, weak government capacity, and transparency remain. The World Bank in late 2016 approved a $20 million grant to restore basic fiscal management, improve transparency, and assist with economic recovery.
Participation in the Kimberley process, a commitment to remove conflict diamonds from the global supply chain, led to a partially lifted ban on diamond exports from CAR in 2015, but persistent insecurity is likely to constrain real GDP growth.
GDP, purchasing power parity, $3.39 billion.
$3.249 billion.
$3.108 billion.
Note.
Data in 2017 dollars.
Country comparison to the world.
185.
GDP. Official exchange rate, $1.937 billion.
GDP, real growth rate, 4.3%.
4.5%.
4.8%.
Country comparison to the world.
67.
GDP, per capita. PPP, $700.
$700.
$600.
Note.
Data are in 2017 dollars.
Country comparison to the world.
228.
Gross national saving, 5.4% of GDP.
8.2% of GDP.
4.2% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
175.
GDP, composition, by end use, household consumption.
95.3%.
Government consumption.
8.5%.
Investment in fixed capital.
13.7%.
Investment in inventories.
0%.
Exports of goods and services.
12%.
Imports of goods and services.
Minus 29.5%.
GDP, composition, by sector of origin, agriculture.
43.2%.
Industry.
16%.
Services.
40.8%.
Agriculture, products, cotton, coffee, tobacco, cassava, manioc, tapioca, yams, millet, corn, bananas, timber.
Industries, gold and diamond mining, logging, brewing, sugar refining.
Industrial production growth rate, 3.9%.
Country comparison to the world.
77.
Labor force, 2.242 million.
Country comparison to the world.
120.
Unemployment rate, 6.9%.
Country comparison to the world.
103.
Population below poverty line, 62% NAR.
Household income or consumption by percentage share, lowest 10%.
2.1%.
Highest 10%.
33%.
Distribution of family income, Gini index, 43.6.
61.3. 1993.
Country comparison to the world.
46.
Budget, revenues.
282.9 million.
Expenditures.
300.1 million.
Taxes and other revenues. 14.6% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
198.
Budget surplus, plus, or deficit, minus 0.9% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
71.
Public debt, 52.9% of GDP.
56% of GDP.
Country comparison to the world.
93.
Fiscal year, calendar year.
Inflation rate, consumer prices, 4.1%.
4.6%.
Country comparison to the world.
159.
Central bank discount rate, 4.25%. The 31st of December 2009.
4.75%. The 31st of December 2008.
Country comparison to the world.
90.
Commercial bank prime lending rate, 15.5%.
15.5%.
Country comparison to the world.
35.
Stock of narrow money, $428.9 million.
$341.5 million.
Country comparison to the world.
172.
Stock of broad money, $428.9 million.
$341.5 million.
Country comparison to the world.
176.
Stock of domestic credit, $547 million.
$452.7 million.
Country comparison to the world.
177.
Market value of publicly traded shares, NAR.
Current account balance, minus $163 million.
Minus $97 million.
Country comparison to the world.
94.
Exports, $113.7 million.
$101.5 million.
Country comparison to the world.
196.
Exports. Partners, France 31.2%, Burundi 16.2%, China 12.5%, Cameroon 9.6%, Austria 7.8%.
Exports, commodities, diamonds, timber, cotton, coffee.
Imports, $393.1 million.
$342.2 million.
Country comparison to the world.
199.
Imports, commodities, food, textiles, petroleum products, machinery, electrical equipment, motor vehicles, chemicals, pharmaceuticals.
Imports, partners, France 17.1%, US 12.3%, India 11.5%, China 8.2%, South Africa 7.4%, Japan 5.8%, Italy 5.1%, Cameroon 4.9%, Netherlands 4.6%.
Reserves of foreign exchange and gold, $304.3 million.
$252.5 million.
Country comparison to the world.
168.
Debt, external, $779.9 million.
$691.5 million.
Country comparison to the world.
171.
Exchange rates. Corporation Financière en Afrique Centrale Francs, CFA, per US dollar.
605.3.
593.01.
593.01.
591.45.
494.42.
Energy.
Central African Republic.
Electricity access. Population without electricity.
4.5 million.
Electrification. Total population.
3%.
Electrification. Urban areas.
5%.
Electrification. Rural areas.
1%.
Electricity. Production. 171.4 million kWh.
Country comparison to the world.
194.
Electricity consumption. 159.4 million.
Country comparison to the world.
196.
Electricity exports 0 kilowatt hours.
Country comparison to the world.
119.
Electricity imports 0 kilowatt hours.
Country comparison to the world.
133.
Electricity installed generating capacity 38,300 kilowatts.
Country comparison to the world.
197.
Electricity from fossil fuels 50% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
151.
Electricity from nuclear fuels 0% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
64.
Electricity from hydroelectric plants 50% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
40.
Electricity from other renewable sources 1% of total installed capacity.
Country comparison to the world.
151.
Crude oil production 0 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
120.
Crude oil exports 0 barrel day.
Country comparison to the world.
105.
Crude oil imports 0 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
108.
Crude oil proved reserves 0 barrel.
Country comparison to the world.
117.
Refined petroleum products production 0 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
129.
Refined petroleum products consumption 2,800 barrel day.
Country comparison to the world.
189.
Refined petroleum products exports 0 barrels/day.
Country comparison to the world.
142.
Refined petroleum products imports 2,799 barrel day.
Country comparison to the world.
185.
Natural gas production 0 qm.
Country comparison to the world.
115.
Natural gas consumption 0 cubic meters.
Country comparison to the world.
131.
Natural gas exports 0 qm.
Country comparison to the world.
81.
Natural gas imports 0 cubic meters.
Country comparison to the world.
105.
Natural gas proved reserves 0 qm.
Country comparison to the world.
121.
Carbon dioxide emissions from consumption of energy 413,800 Mt.
Country comparison to the world.
187.
Communications.
Central African Republic.
Telephones, fixed lines, total subscriptions.
1,964.
Subscriptions per 100 inhabitants.
Less than 1.
Country comparison to the world.
214.
Telephones, mobile cellular, total subscriptions.
1,248,346.
Subscriptions per 100 inhabitants.
22.
Country comparison to the world.
156.
Telephone system. General assessment.
Network consists principally of microwave radio relay and at low capacity. Ongoing conflict has obstructed telecommunication and media development. Although there are ISP and mobile phone carriers, radio is the most popular communications medium.
Domestic.
Very limited telephone service with less than one fixed line connection per 100 persons. With the presence of multiple providers, mobile cellular service has reached 22 per 100 mobile